All right, people, so I'm gonna give you guys a reaction video. All right, I'm an artist, so I'm gonna give you guys an artist perspective of Ninja Gaiden 2, the Xbox 360. So the old version in comparison to the remake. So they literally just installed the newer engine, newer generation, so they updated the graphics. And this video is a side-by-side comparison between the Xbox 360, the old version, and the Xbox Series X/PS5 version. All right, so if you're new to this channel, I do a lot of using my body as reference and transforming them into different character designs of pop culture and different types of original character designs as well as in OCD. So if you guys are interested in content like this, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. That really helps out with the algorithm. All right. And also at the same time, if you want, let's say, a character design of Ninja Gaiden, I could do my own interpretation of that, right? Because I like to do more original stuff rather than just copying what is already out there in the pop culture world, right? Just let me know down below. Or if you guys want me to do like a drawing of Ninja Gaiden, I could do that traditionally, and I will just show the step-by-step process while I draw the character of Ryu Hayabusa on my sketchbook. All right, that's enough of CTA call to action. Let's get into breaking down this video. Turn off the background music and let's go. So as you guys can see off the bat, there's a lavender overlay that's happening in the right hand side. So there's much more fidelity on the newer version compared to the older version. However, I do like the red overlay that's happening in the older version. There's something about the red overlay that has a warmer cinematic color to it, while the right hand side, which is the newer version, has more of like a Gotham feel to it. It's very dark, and there's much more of dramatic lighting. In case you don't know, dramatic lighting like chiaroscuro, that's like Italian Renaissance. When you look at the way Leonardo da Vinci has extreme contrast between the lights and shadows. So there's much more on the right hand side than on the left hand side. And if you guys have any suggestions of different stuff you guys want me to compare to, like video games and all that stuff, let me know down below as well. It's going to be a breakdown, so just be advised ahead of time, there's going to be a lot of pausing, all right? I'm going to put the original video in the description below.
So, let me get this straight.
Off the bat, you could just see much more dramatic lighting as well as spotlighting. You see a lot of spotlighting on the right hand side, much more than the left. The left, due to the fact that it's an older game engine, you don't see a lot of contrast. Things just look pretty flat in comparison to the right with the dramatic lighting, and also the amount of detail that is happening as well as spotlighting. Again, what I said about spotlighting, you can see the antithesis of the lighting cascading on her body and her hair. Whereas this one, there is no directional lighting. I mean, you can kind of see it right here, but it's not as vivid as the one on the right hand side.
Let me see here.
You don't have a clue where I can find Ryu Hayabusa?
No one knows where a ninja goes. If he isn't at the Hayabusa village, he could be halfway around the world. Sonia was...
Look at how dramatic this is. You could just see the emphasis on taking inspiration from movies, you know, like in the movie scene with the filmography of how dramatic that looks with the backlighting right here. So I like how they went with that approach of making it seem like this is a real dramatic scene, and you don't need to show all the information right there because the focal point is on her. So that's a beautiful version of showcasing the depth of field, where you want the viewer to see her because she's very illuminated with all of that saturation and lightning, and then while he has the contrast of it being so dark and then also you see the directional lighting happening right here. So this right here, the newer version, they pay attention to the detail and the lighting to create more of that dramatic scenery, as opposed to the left one is very flat.
Was it? Do you have business with Ryu?
I do.
And what might that be?
Let's talk about the character design of her. They made her look younger because, like, of course, usually when women have red lipstick, for the most part, they look older with red lipstick, right? So they took that away. So they went with more of a younger approach to it as opposed to the one on the left-hand side. The one on the right-hand side looks more of Asian orientation compared to the one on the left, which looks more European, right? So you see that the perspective of the right-hand side looks more accurate. This just has too much of, oh, you can't really see here, but this right here has too much of showing the box of an isometric view as opposed to the one on the right. And of course, saying the same thing, the illumination of the lighting has a better directional lighting on the right than the left.
All I'll say is that it concerns the Archfiend.
You ate all my pizza rolls. These are like $100.
You're like $100, man. You ate all my Tostitos.
The Archfiend.
Every time an ad pops up, I'm just gonna do a random voice. Again, look at that. The amount of chiaroscuro happening right here. The directional line is very dramatic. And then you just see the cool tone, the cool flesh tone happening here. And then you see the reflective lighting a little bit over here as well. So if you're an artist or you're interested in art, always be mindful in terms of understanding color, understanding lights and shadows, because that's what really makes a design, whether it's stylized or realistic, it brings it more to life. See, again, this one has a lavender / purple overlay to the nighttime scenery as opposed to the one on the left. I actually, it's debatable. Everything is just based upon preference. I go back and forth. I do like more of the dirtiness, like mistiness of the left-hand side. The right has a cooler, vivid feel to it. And the reason why I prefer the left overlay as far as the color grading is mainly because it's a mature dark tone. When, like, you don't want to make things too vibrant over a video game where it's a lot of blood, it's a lot of gore. So think of it like a best analogy is like Mortal Kombat, right? If you look at MK1 versus the old school Mortal Kombat, MK1 is very vivid, right? As far as the color saturations. So it's like a weird dynamic that just don't work because it's gruesome. But when you have a colorful, saturated environment, it makes things look much more at peace. It looks playful. That's why if you look at, that's why people complain about MK1. It needs to get back into that dark, gritty feel because it goes well with the mature content of the violence and the gore. So when things are very colorful and bright, it kind of defeats the purpose of it. So developers, they need to just, and the producers, they got to be careful when it comes down to color grading. Yes, it looks nice and clean, but then you got to understand the concept of what you're making. What is the mood you're trying to go for, right? If it's dark and gritty in terms of what's happening, then it should be in the same realm. Instead of making it look sleek, by making it look nice and clean and sleek, it kind of takes away how dramatic and how crazy it is in that world. So that's my little rant. I do like the touch of how dramatic it looks with the pedals and all that stuff happening. on the right hand side than the left. Much more emphasized. Right to the face. Your boy Ryu Hayabusa. Okay, let's talk about the design of Ryu Hayabusa. Definitely light years enhanced on the right hand side than the left. The form of his helmet, his ninja helmet, is much more fitted to his proportions. His shoulders, his body type looks more realistic. His shoulders here look very just stylized, as pointy, right? This one looks like they looked at references of actual people's bodies. And also the lighting, there's much more directional lighting as opposed to the one on the left hand side. Look at how her eyes look right there. Eyes look like it's just in a, oh, you can't really see it, but the one over here on the left hand side, it looks like it's in a different world. And it's just focused, where here it's blurred. So again, it gives you that cinematic feel towards the depth of field, right? So it's focused on him, it's blurred at her at the bottom. So your eyes are much more aesthetically at ease of what you're seeing. I wanted to pause. Let me go back to that. I just want to see how the character looks right here. There we go. Look at that. Night and day. Much more definition on his face. His texture mapping is much more sharper, much more contrast. The design on his scarf has a better form. So the design is more enhanced on the right compared to the left. And yeah, much more directional lighting. Again, everything has better directional lighting that has a natural lighting effect on the right compared to the left.
We have no moment. I expected more, Ryu Hayabusa.
You can see all just with the gameplay, same thing. But let's move on because I want to really just focus more on the cutscenes rather than the gameplay. So let me see. Is this on 1080p? I'll make sure. There we go. Now, I would say this is it's a hot take, but I wish they would have gave a little bit more information like what they have on the left-hand side towards the right. This is too much depth of field. What I mean by that is that when the background is way too blurry, sometimes it can make things look incomplete. So you don't want to make the depth of field too strong. You want to still have a little bit of information that's going on in the background. And while this one is the complete opposite, it's showing way too much information in the background to the point where Ryu Hayabusa looks kind of flat in this particular pause of this cutscene. Look at that. Look how dramatic that lighting looks. This is just, again, cinematography at its finest. You know, a lot of game developers, they'll look at film as reference, you know, so they could capture that perfect lighting. It's literally night and day. This one is just basic lighting that's happening right here. And then here's a shadow. Then you got a bit of reflective lighting. While this one here is just much more, and you can just see the amount of detail that's on here. This is like picture perfect, like in terms of the upgrade.
Why, if it isn't Ryu.
They were minions of the Black Spider clan.
Indeed they were. We haven't heard from them in a while.
Again, look at the depth of field. Here, they're both focused, while this one is just cinematic. This is blurred. You focus it on Ryu Hayabusa. This one, both. Your eyes are going to just go back and forth, like, who should I focus on? While this one has more of a graphical approach towards letting you know blatantly who you should focus on, and that is Ryu, along with the lighting and amount of texture and detail. Yeah, this is a much more stronger composition on the right than the left.
Who was the woman?
You don't know her? Neither do I. You couldn't save her? She was looking for you. She said it was about the Archfiend.
The amount of texture. They wanted to show that again, like just to let viewers know. Look at the amount of sharpness, texture that's happening on his ninja mask. See all the real, like just much more of a realistic fidelity on his outfit alone compared to the one on the left. Now, I would give credit to the one on the left in terms of the amount of, you know what I'm going to do? So you can see it. Let me take away myself for a second. And then see if I can move this right here. See, that's one thing I like. I like this. I like how they showcased the amount of detail on his ninja sword, right? Much more emphasis on that because there's not a lot of depth of field. I prefer that over the one on the right. This is too much depth of field where you don't even see the amount of detail on his ninja sword. So that's definitely I'll give it to the left. You know, that's one of the few occasions where I give it to the left over the right. Let me go back. And I'll bring myself back in here. Perfect.
The Archfiend.
Alright, we got to pause on the gameplay. Like I said, I got the original video down below. Let's go into another cutscene, if there is another cutscene. The only reason why I'm doing this also because there's a lot of blood and gore, and YouTube is very sensitive when it comes down to that. Alright, so everything else is pretty much gameplay. I got to be careful with all the amount of violence that they have on this game. But as I'm seeing this so far, I'm not really I'm not really seeing a lot of cutscenes. So I'm just gonna end it here, which is good because in the end of the day, it's like the video could be like a whole hour long. So what do you think about my breakdown? Let me know down below. And like I said, I do a lot of illustrations on this channel, so throw your suggestions down below as well. All right. So yeah, don't forget, always like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.